Hello and welcome to our Aquila Framework version 4.1. Aquila is our fourth generation WordPress theme architecture, and over the last 4 years we've added more and more features to take advantage of the growing use for our WordPress themes. In this brief tour, I'm going to show you the standard features of the version 4.1 for the framework. First, let's go to the framework landing page. So on this page you'll find the latest help material and instructional videos and so on and so forth down below. And you can find this landing page obviously by clicking on the menu option on the left hand side. Up at the top you'll find a number of tabs. The first of these is the General tab, and then you'll see a number of submenu items. The Quick Start submenu item contains most of the things that you're going to need to get down to business. If you configure most of the things on this page, you're going to be set. Making sure you have a proper website name, making sure that you map your home page to an actual page in your site, as well as the blog page. It's probably a good idea to also set your team members page. We have it set up for a page called About, as well as the FAQs page. Probably a good idea to set your primary navigation. We're going to keep it set to a drop-down menu 1. And then also the drop-down contact box. Now these are the global settings that are used by many of the page layouts in version 4.1. Moving along, you're going to see that there's a logo option. This is where we can specify what we want the website title in our page to say. We can have it say example site as we've done there, or we can use a custom setting where we can say example and then site, where we have one in one color and one in another color, and that's just a feature of our theme. We can also use the default site description as the tagline that shows up underneath the website title, or specify something custom. I'm just going to leave that as it is. We can also specify a bitmap logo to show up to the left of the logo, or optionally a vector icon by use of font awesome icons. Moving along to the next option, this is where we specify all of our social network profile pages, such as your Facebook page or your Twitter account. And we have options for a whole number of different social media profiles. These profiles and subsequent icons are used in different places in the website. On the next, you can specify custom codes such as analytics for Google Analytics. Some special scripts require you to place code before the ending head tag in their instructions or before the ending body tag, and we give the option to go and place code. This is really an advanced option, such as placing your own custom CSS. But for those users that want that functionality, it is here. Moving over to the footer, this is where you can specify a custom copyright message. Also a custom powered by message. You don't need to use these, but if you want to, they're here for you. As well, this next tab is for the 404 page, and the 404 page is essentially when somebody tries to go to your site and goes to a page not found. Page doesn't exist. And so we place a little bit of text here to tell them that they're in the wrong place, and they also optionally provide links to other resources within your site so that they can find their way. The next tab is the typography, and this is where you can specify different styles for different items within your site. By default, the styling that you have in your WordPress theme should be adequate. It's what you saw when you purchased the theme, and it's what sells it, obviously. And so we've gone and set up the font faces and the font sizes and the weights and the colors already. But if you want to go and change that, you can do that. You can specify different pixels or EMs and change the font size and the font family. We've included a number of Google fonts already. If you find that there's something from Google Fonts that you want added into the framework, please let us know. We will add it in for you and have it available in the next update. Also the font weight, and then you can specify a custom hexadecimal color. Moving on to the final tab here. Now this is really, and if you hover over here, this is for advanced users. You don't need to touch this page. And what this is this is for each one of the page layouts that exist within the system, you can specify the layout of each of the rows. So for the top section, there's the header top region, and you can specify that you can have 2 columns have it contained, which means it doesn't go all the way out to the sides, or full screen if you wish, and the orientation of the columns. So in the Bootstrap framework, which we use, everything is defined within the scope of 12 rows, or sorry, 12 columns. And so we have 2 columns. One of them is technically 10 wide, and the other one is 2 wide. Again, this is an advanced user's mechanism. You don't need to use this. It's here if you really want to, change things up. But by default, you're not going to need to touch it. But it is here if you want it. So power if you want it, but you don't need to touch it. Moving along, what we're going to see here is now these are shortcuts to the different tabs. You're going to find that below that you're going to have an option to modify your sliders. Go and modify your contact forms, and you can have as many contact forms as you like. Edit your testimonials. Below that is your link for adding FAQs and modifying the categories that those FAQs are going to go into. Below that, we've included a custom post type called team members. Now, team members, you're like, well, what's a team member? Well, you might have a staff member, or if this website is for a sports team, then obviously team. Or if you are a school, then you'd have teachers in different departments. You don't need to use this, but it's there if you want it. And then the final option is if you need to update your theme, or there's a theme update available, this is here for you as well. Again, you don't need to use this. Your theme should be already up to date, but again, that feature is there. One of the biggest updates to version 4.1 is that we have made the page layouts for this theme, the default's much more all-encompassing. So you don't have to go and fiddle with that layouts tab as I showed you in the previous screen. Now you can go and edit your home page, and your home page itself, we now have a new summary section which tells you your page content probably could use a little bit more content. Your SEO has not yet been set up, and your page layouts are probably pretty good. You've specified 67% or so of the configurable regions in the page. This is just to help you get a feel for whether or not your page is complete. So below this is we're going to see a bunch of configurable options. For each page layout, you can specify, based upon the features in the page, different regions. Now, it used to be that you would have to go and make sure you set things up in the sidebar and widget panel page. You don't need to do that for all page layouts now. You can manage the page and the different features of the page directly through this interface here. So you can specify the drop-down menu. You can use the site default, which is, if you recall, probably about a minute and a half ago, we specified the primary navigation, which was, I believe, it was drop-down menu 1. Or we can choose not to use a menu, or we can choose a different drop-down menu. Same with the drop-down contact form. We can use the site default, which we said was contact box, or we can choose not to use a contact form, or we can specify a different one if we wanted to. Again, social media icons. You can use the site default, which is all of them that you've specified on that profile page, or none of them. Again, the same with search form. Use the site default, which is the form being enabled, or do not display the search form. So you can have a global setting, which all the pages use, if they use site default, which is probably a really good idea just to use the default. Or if you want, you can, on a page-by-page basis, tweak that. Next, we have branding. Now, what is branding? Branding is what identifies you, and that's where your website title goes. Now, as we see here, we've got example site, and our tagline, just another WordPress site. Now, we can go, and if we wanted to, on the home page itself, change that. We can say, do not display the website title, or do something custom, such as, super duper. And you're going to see there, one's going to be in one color and one's going to be in a second color. And we can specify a custom tagline for this page. We can even choose to align it differently than is by default. So maybe we'll center this one. Okay. We're going to save and update page has been saved. We'll just go back to our website and reload and see what happens here. Now it says super duper. It's in 2 colors as per the theme, and this is my custom tagline. Now one other option was to use the vector icon, and I'll just go into it just in a little bit here. Going back to the framework configuration panel, I'm going to specify a font awesome vector. I believe it's called Icon Rocket. Now the Fortress theme uses, I believe it's, something tells me Font Awesome 3. Later versions of our WordPress themes use Font Awesome 4. And basically, if you want to go and find out what the icons are that are available, you just go to the Font Awesome website. You just Google Font Awesome, find the appropriate icon set, and you just place the class name here. Again, you don't need to use this if you don't want to, but it's an extended feature. So I'm going to hit save. All right, and let's just go and load this up. Okay. Oops, that's a different page entirely. Here we go. There we go, and then we have our little vector icon. Vector icons are great because they don't take up any real space apart from the initial CSS file that gets loaded. Moving back to the page configuration area. So we've got our general configuration areas. The search engine optimizations, this is where we can say your home page, and this is an example of business homepage. But these are what search engines can use to identify your page and your website. It's really important that you specify as much information as you can. This type of information is used in the SEO widget, which currently isn't enabled in the home page, so search engines will use whatever else information is within your page, but it's important to make sure you have this configured in the event that you want to use that widget. Also, the page meta keywords and meta description, some search engines use this as well. It's always good to make sure you have this defined. If you have this defined, we're going to see that once we update this, the SEO region is going to update just a little bit here. And we're going to find that our progress bar has moved along just a touch. There we go. The very final tab, as we're going to see here on this home page, is our layout configuration editor. You don't need to touch this. Again, if you want to, there's more power in it. You can go and change your sidebar for this page. Say example for the header top region where we currently have the phone number, maybe we didn't want that. Maybe we wanted to turn that off. We say no sidebar selected. By default, each of the page layouts that we include have different regions that are preset. You're going to see that this is a locked region. You're not going to be able to change how this is displayed because this is what you see in the online demo. This is how it's going to be displayed. The contact form menu is going to be up in this area. The regular menu is going to be up in this area. Below that, we're going to have the logo. It's going to take up the entire column. And below that yet, we're going to have another little menu, and it's going to, well, that's actually a region that we can customize. I'll just show you what that looks like. We're going to hit update. We're going to go back to our page, and once I know that the page is finished saving, we reload, and we're going to see that this disappears. Page hasn't finished saving yet. I refreshed too quickly. There we go. Those two regions now disappear. But how could we configure those differently? Well, let's go back to our edit page. Let's turn on the header top, and let's turn on the header lower. And so these regions where you can specify the sidebar, well, if you're new to WordPress, you might be like, what's a sidebar all about? Well, a sidebar is essentially, it's a widget region. It's a region that you can place widgets in. What are widgets? Well, a phone number is a widget that we've set up. A custom menu, social media icons and search forms and slider regions, those are also widgets. On the widget control panel, you can get to by going to the appearance and then menu option, or widget menu option here. You're going to see the choice of available widgets here, as well as your sidebars listed to the right. Now, you're not limited to the sidebars that we've created. You can create your own sidebars, additional sidebars. We've just given you a plethora of them, but you're not limited to what we've provided. You can add more by clicking on the Add Sidebar option here, and it will just show up down at the bottom of the list. But we've included a whole ton of them. And each one of these more or less corresponds to a region in the page layouts. But as you saw in the home page layout, you couldn't change those particular widgets. It's because we've said, hey, this is what the layout's going to be like. And you don't need to worry about configuring too many other options. However, the header top region is a configurable region. You can specify what goes on there. And in fact, you're not limited to putting the header top here. If you really wanted, you could put something else, such as the utility region up here, where you could say, hey, I want my social media icons, I want my search form. This is where I want it in the page, if you really wanted to. You probably don't. We've set it up so that in the what we call the header top region, we're going to put the header top sidebar, logically speaking. But what you can also do is you can specify, how you want your columns set up by clicking and dragging here. You can choose to have more columns if you wanted to, although it's not going to work if you just have this particular sidebar selected here because there are only 2 widgets in it. But this gives you more power should you want it. So going back to the widget area, if you've never used widgets before, it's as easy as clicking and dragging, and you can place widgets within your different sidebars. Now, I believe the only region that, or the only page layout that uses all of these sidebars is what we call the advanced page layout. It means you have complete control. You can configure it any which way you would like as far as the sidebars are concerned. Each of the other page layouts have set regions, such as our home page. It has the top region, which is set, the header main, which is set, the utility, and the showcase, which is set. And apart from that, you can configure the rest of the page however you see fit. But the signature look for the home page is these sidebars set with these widgets. You're going to find that if you wanted to go and change your template, and you can do that by going over to the right hand side, say you wanted to move it to, I don't know, say the sitemap. That would be silly, but say the contact. Your tabs are going to change down here as well as your layout. Now the sitemap doesn't have the showcase area. It has the utility, it has the header main, and it has the top. You notice it doesn't have the SEO region either. And the reason for that is that the contact page, let's just go there. If we were to take a look at the contact form, the contact form, as we see here, just refresh the page with new content, includes a map up in the top region, as well as the form lower down on the page. So that would be why you wouldn't have the showcase for this particular layout. And we're going to go back to the contact form page. And so again, you can change your template by selecting over here, and each template has different features available. So for example, the photo slideshow doesn't have any branding because there is no logo up at the top, there's no website title. But it does allow you to change your drop-down menu in your drop-down contact form, and also set the different configuration options for the slideshow. Now I'll go into more detail about how to go and change the photo gallery in another video, but suffice to say, there are different features by selecting different template for your page. Now the last thing I just really want to concentrate on here in this video is to just make sure it's clear that you don't need to touch the layout tab, but it's here if you want it. The sidebars are configurable if you want them, and again, they are over on the widgets control panel over here. Again, you can expand and click and drag. And one of the nice features of the Aquila Framework is that we take advantage of the mobile first responsive layout called Bootstrap, or Twitter Bootstrap, which is developed by the fellows out at Twitter. And everything is defined by columns. And so if we were to go take a quick look here, let's go take a look at the header top region, for example. We have 2 columns. It's divided up into 2 columns, and we've just decided to divide it up this way here. If we take a look at our header top region, you're going to see that what's this? We have the phone number and then we have a column break. Well, this is a special component that basically allows us to say put it on a contact form. Might not be the best thing. Let's put just for kicks an info box here. We're just going to save that. I'm just going to minimize that. And so now what we've got is we've got two columns. We've got an info box on the left and then a column break that says, hey, new column, put my phone number here. We're going to go back and just go back to our home page. Oh, probably a good idea to make sure that we save this page. Update. And we'll reload. Again, so now we have an info box on the left and a phone number on the right. Now we can go and change the width of each of those columns just by, again, in the layout, dragging this how we like. That'll give you a better idea of how this is going to look. Page is still saving here. But as you can see now that I've reloaded the page here, this column is definitely smaller now, just as we've defined on the layout panel here. So the column break widget is really important if you want to run things in different columns. If we wanted to, we could have two things in one column, test and test, and you'll see that once I've saved that widget and reload my page, we're going to have the info box and then another widget right below that, and then in the next column, which is in this region here, we have our phone number. I'll go into more detail about that when I talk about the column break widget in my widget tutorials, but essentially that's the power and flexibility of this framework and all the features that we've included with this version.